You're tuning in to Trax Momentum's interview of the hour, interview of the day. And today I'm speaking to Miss Wong Pui May, who is the coordinator of what is known as the Malaysian Conservation Alliance for Tigers, shortened as MYCAT. And first of all, Pui May, nice to see you. How are you?
Hi, Kong Yu. I'm
Hi.
good, thanks. Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you, yeah. Now tell us a little bit about the role of the Malaysian Conservation Alliance for Tigers. To give us a bit of a background, we are talking about the Malayan Tiger today. Lots of information to share with our listeners, as well as conservation efforts and specific activities, yeah?
Yes.
So there's going to be a pretty informative session, but perhaps maybe just introduce a little bit about the Alliance and its efforts.
Okay, just a little bit of background.
Yeah.
MYCAT is an alliance of 4 NGOs in Malaysia, namely the Malaysian Nature Society, Traffic Southeast Asia, Wildlife Conservation Society Malaysia Program, and WWF Malaysia. And we also work closely with the Malaysian government, Perhilitan, and also Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. And our ultimate goal, as our name suggests, is to save the Malayan tiger.
Right,
Yep.
right. Great stuff. We're going to find out more details on the Malayan Tiger and statistics, as well numbers, issues, as well as importantly conservation efforts. Yeah, Pui May, just a second. You said that it's an alliance of 4 parties.
Yes.
Okay, and do each party dedicate resources and manpower for MYCAT, or do you guys still do basically other work for your alliance member itself?
Well, where I'm from is the Secretariat's office.
Okay.
So we are a very small office, very streamlined, and our main role is really to provide a platform for collaboration and communication. So my office's role is to bring people together, because
Right.
in all these 4 NGOs, there are people working on tiger conservation to a certain extent.
Right.
Some work on trade issues, illegal hunting, selling. Some work on research. Others do education work. So the whole reason why MYCAT was formed back in 2003, 11 years ago now,
Wow,
is to bring
congratulations.
people together to share information, prevent overlapping of the same efforts and stuff like that. And my office also coordinates what we call MYCAT joint projects, which includes community outreach and also the wildlife crime hotline. That's a
Right.
24-hour hotline.
Which we'll talk about in more detail later. Yeah, you can
Yep.
share that number with people. But that's a great effort. So you are from the Secretariat, the coordinating side of things, and your little unit basically foresees that. I mean, or rather oversees it. Yeah, the efforts and to
Not
make it
so
more
much oversee, I guess, but sort of bringing people together. We're
Right.
like the glue.
Okay, and so that efforts are not wasted, or it could be more coordinated, tighter.
Yes, more
things like that.
coordination,
Right.
communication, sharing resources is important,
Right.
because in conservation, nothing is ever enough. Funding, manpower, a lot of things are lacking. So it's important to share and to collaborate.
Right, and that's the spirit that we see in MYCAT, for example, but
Yes.
also all throughout, the all the other NGOs and whatnot, which are collected under the MENGO umbrella.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes, so great stuff, yeah. Well, keep on doing the work, yeah. And I think many other parties that you can learn from what the Malaysian NGOs group, the conservation group, is actually doing, yeah, in terms of sharing resources.
Well, MYCAT is actually the only such tiger conservation alliance in the world.
In the whole world.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Tell us a bit about the Malayan tiger. Share with us some statistics. I've heard these statistics, once in a while, especially in conjunction with the International Tiger Day, which
Yes.
was held just last week, isn't it?
29 July.
29th of July, and that was celebrated all around the world. Share with us some statistics and facts on the Malayan tiger, Pui May.
Well, we are very lucky in Malaysia because we have our very own subspecies of tiger, which is known as the Malayan tiger. And it's only found in Peninsular Malaysia. Don't ask me why. I guess tigers just never made it across to Sabah,
Right, they
Sarawak.
couldn't. They're very good swimmers, I understand, but they
Oh,
couldn't
yes.
swim all the way to Sabah.
I guess that's a little too far, because there are
Yeah.
records of tigers swimming from Johor to Singapore,
Wow.
from Seberang Perai to Penang. So
Right.
you'd be surprised.
Across the straits and making it all the way.
Yes, making it all the way.
They're better swimmers than humans, for sure.
For cat species,
Yes.
usual house cats don't like water,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
tigers love water.
Tigers love water.
Yeah,
Amazing.
But the sad thing is that, the Malayan tiger, which is our national icon, you see it everywhere,
Right.
logos. It's really on the uniform of our national athletes at the Commonwealth Games. Yeah, but what's happening with wild Malayan tigers is not so good. In the 1950s, there were an estimated 3,000 wild Malayan tigers. And about 10 years ago, the estimate was 500. And recently, we believe that it's even lesser. And over the past few years, the government as well as NGOs have been conducting more surveys at a few sites across Peninsular Malaysia. While it's difficult, I mean, because these are still just a few sites, it's a sampling of the whole population. We hope to do more in future. But they believe that they have a better idea of the actual status of our Malayan tiger now. And we hope to inform the Malaysian public. We hope to give them a more accurate update soon. But unfortunately, we believe the numbers even less.
So we have preliminary numbers. It's not a formal report yet, like you said. So it's so far it's indicating that it's dwindled even further.
Yes, unfortunately. But it's really time for us to, step up and do something about it. Yeah, which is something that we've been pushing all the time, and we need more Malaysians to come on board. Yeah, everyone needs to play a part.
Interesting, yeah. Good stuff. And I was, doing some because last week was quiet, yeah. I mean, in terms of the programs that we run here, in terms of guests and things like that, obviously because of the Raya Aidilfitri celebration. So I was, doing a little bit of research and in conjunction with International Tiger Day, which was on July 29th. And it's kind of alarming all over the world. And we're talking about, on one hand, we should be very proud that we do have a species ourselves called the Malayan tiger. On the other hand, it's also is a bit scary and alarming to see the rates going down, the dwindling numbers in our jungles, and a couple of our neighboring subspecies, in fact, the Balinese tiger, and I think there was another one, are actually extinct.
Yeah, Caspian tiger and the Bali tiger.
Right.
And the Javan tiger.
Yeah.
So see, these are all small pockets. In Java, small island. Bali, small island. So Peninsular Malaysia, although we are not an island, but we are also a small landmass.
It's sort of like the end of the tip, the peninsula.
Yeah.
So you don't really foresee wildlife species like the Malayan tiger being able to really thrive beyond the peninsula, even though there are some numbers.
And that is a separate subspecies in Indochina. That's the Indo-Chinese tiger.
Right.
So it's really up to Malaysians to save the Malayan tiger. Once it's gone, it will be wiped off the face of the earth. And how can we let that happen?
Absolutely. Great point. I'm speaking to Wong Pui May, who is the coordinator from the Malaysian Conservation Alliance for Tigers, otherwise known as MYCAT. Okay. More with Pui May in just a little while. We're going to talk a bit about what we can do, to help conserve or to help preserve the Malayan tiger so that it continues thriving in our jungles. Right? Back in a few minutes after this one by Desiree right here on Traxxfm Momentum. Good. Here back on Traxxfm Momentum with me, Kong Yu, for the interview of the day. Today speaking to Wong Pui May, who is the coordinator of an alliance that's called MYCAT. And maybe just to kick things off this segment, Pui May, just reintroduce our listeners, especially those who have just only managed to join us, a little bit about MYCAT.
Okay, hi everyone. MYCAT stands for the Malaysian Conservation Alliance for Tigers. So we're an alliance of 4 NGOs in Malaysia working to save the Malayan tiger.
Well, good stuff, And early on, we were also talking about the statistics that we have thus far, including the latest sort of unofficial, non-collated numbers that have still indicating the dwindling numbers of tigers in the Malayan forest. We're talking especially with the subspecies, the Malayan tiger itself, which only thrives in Peninsular Malaysia, and I believe it's some parts of southern Thailand as well, isn't it?
Yep, and the conjoining forest areas.
Okay, and here's the thing: how many do you think? What's your estimate based on these unofficial numbers?
Oh, it's difficult for me to say, not being a biologist and all that, but really, it's just all I can say now is that it's less than the 500 that was estimated 10 years ago.
Wow. Like 500 from 3,000.
Yeah.
How long ago was 3,000 again? Remind us.
1950s.
1950s.
About 60 years ago.
Yeah, so we never had that many. I mean, we're talking only for the Malayan tiger because it only lives in Peninsular Malaysia.
Yeah.
And so there were never that many, I think, numbers to begin with. Yeah, because it is
a relatively smaller landmass than
That's right.
Russia or India. Yeah, but tiger numbers across its range are dwindling. Although there are success stories in places like Nepal and certain places in India where they use the term They have tigers bleeding out of their ears.
Right.
So we know that it is possible.
And those are all, right? I mean, I know there's some controversy as well on, like the Tiger Temple and things like that we've heard of. But those are all through conservation efforts, isn't it?
It depends. If you see a place that is breeding tigers and keeping them all together in large amounts,
Right.
chances are conservation is not one of their priorities, because one thing is that tigers are solitary animals, and keeping them in groups would be very stressful for the individual tigers. And it's not a simple science to reintroduce tigers to the wild. And while we still have wild tigers, our focus really should be on protecting these wild populations and protecting their habitat. At the same time, we benefit, because forests lead to clean water, fresher air, and all that.
Right.
But really, our focus should be on protecting wild populations and increasing wild populations there, rather than, diluting the focus or thinking of other things like breeding for visitors or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense. I mean, now that you've, then I'm chatting and getting more details from you. Tigers are solitary animals. They are somewhat like the king of the jungle. I mean, they're not not the lion, but they're solitary
in
animals.
Malaysia, they are the king.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, well, we don't have lions
We don't have
here.
lions.
So
That's right.
they are the top predator in Malaysia.
So there you go. So they need their space. They need their own little kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah, come think of it.
Yeah.
If you could put it that way, they're not like pandas, where you can, in a way, successfully, sort of keep in captivity and increase the numbers.
Well, when you talk about, wildlife conservation, increasing the numbers in captivity is really beside the point, because what we're trying to do is protect wildlife and wild spaces.
Yes.
Huge expanse of natural environment, the biodiversity, the ecosystem. Yeah, so, having 100 tigers in an enclosure somewhere really means nothing for conservation.
Right. Okay. Well, a good point there, and thanks for sharing that view. In the meantime, of course, some efforts, quite a lot of efforts have been done with MYCAT, as well as the members who comprise that. Last year, of course, you had the MYCAT run.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and that was last year. How was that? Summarize for us the experience.
The Wild Tiger Run was held to mark our 10th anniversary last year, and the response from the public was really, really good. Before we finished our early bird registration time period, we already maxed out the number of participants.
That's
so we had 2,500 people sign up.
Nice.
We secured a major title sponsor. We had the Minister for Youth and Sports come and flag off, and Datuk Yasmin Yusof emceed the event pro bono. So the amount of support was very encouraging from the Malaysian public. And I mean, you can see that people do want to do something to save the Malayan tiger. And we also managed to raise 55,000 ringgit from the event, which was really good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's a couple of overlapping points here. One is that we do need to create more awareness. From awareness, then comes hopefully some action. Yeah, some follow-through
it needs
action.
to translate to action.
That's right. That's probably the most important thing, to convert that to action.
Yeah, I think we've gone beyond the stage of just being aware and all that. Yeah,
and we in a way we have, I guess, awareness. Constant reminders still need to be there. It's human nature, isn't it?
Yes, we forget easily.
Correct, yeah, but it's good to kind of refresh our data and all that. So the Wild Tiger Run was a success, like you were saying, and I like the fact that, in a way, you have a focus different way, and you target you work differently. Yeah, for example, I understand there's no Wild Tiger Run this year.
Oh, yes. We have had inquiries, but I'm sorry to say we won't be holding it again this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of runs which are in support of this and that, which is a good thing. It gets people together, brings people together in a healthy way, right? To do something which usually will challenge their physical bodies, yeah? A lot of people participate in runs, whether it could be 5 kms, 10 km and above, usually will sign up in a category that will challenge them physically, isn't it?
It's a healthy hobby, I'd say, better than, being a couch potato.
Correct, yeah. And try to we're going to save tigers or save X, whatever it might be, by just sitting down.
And clicking.
That's great. So it's good that, I definitely love seeing all these runs around, no matter what they are. But this year, your alliance, the MYCAT Alliance, has a different strategy.
Oh, yes.
It's a different game plan, literally. Tell us more.
Well, this year we're actually planning for a big event next year. and we're calling it Piala Harimau. This would be the ultimate tiger football championship.
Piala Harimau.
Yes.
Such a nice name, and you're touching upon a game that traditionally Malaysians are very interested in.
Everyone loves, yeah. But this one, instead of targeting the urban public, like what we did with Wild Tiger Run, so we're doing something a little different and working with local communities at the 3 main tiger priority areas in Peninsular Malaysia.
Wow, great. Sounds exciting. 3 main tiger priority areas. Tell us more about these areas so that we have a better picture overall with the case and the situation of the Malayan tiger.
Okay. Well, these priority areas are the Belum Temenggong Forest Complex in Perak, Taman Negara, which spans 3 states, Pahang, Terengganu, and Kelantan, and Enda Rompin Forest Complex in Johor, and a little bit of Pahang. So these are what we call priority areas, not because they are the only places where we need to protect tigers, but because these are existing protected areas, meaning that, this particular patch of forest is safe from development and is theoretically more safe from poaching because of more enforcement efforts and more patrolling concentrated in these areas. So what we do is that, these protected areas is planned to serve as what we call a source site for tigers. So it's somewhere safe where tigers can breed. And then, because tigers, like I mentioned, are solitary animals. So once they reach a certain age, cubs follow their moms for around 2 to 3 years. After that, they need to move off to find their own territory. So the aim is that they will disperse into the surrounding forest. And the estimate is that about 80% of tigers probably live outside protected areas. But because, we have Banjaran Titiwangsa, we have the huge Taman Negara complex, we have what we call a central forest spine, which is like, a spine of mountainous forested area running from north to south of Peninsula. So this is a huge area that's practically impossible to protect all of it. And, they're constantly facing challenges from land development and all that. So the idea of having priority areas is to focus resources on these 3 areas for tigers. And I mentioned that Piala Harimau are focusing the local communities there. It's because, MYCAT partners, the 4 NGOs, MNS, Traffic, WF, and WCS, we've all been working for a number of years with local communities who live close to the forest. So this, the idea behind Piala Harimau is really to reach out to them through something that they are really passionate about and sort of find common ground there and develop a closer relationship. Because these are really our key stakeholders when it comes to protecting tigers and wildlife, because, the forest is practically in their backyards.
And it's something very important to keep note, as we go for our second break right here on Trax Momentum's interview. I mean, we talk about conservation, we can talk about awareness of this and that, and talk about going green, but it always, at the end of the day, one thing that has one important, or probably the key part that reoccurs during interviews like this, to me, is the local communities.
Yes.
And that is the key, actually, isn't it? Of conservation, especially when you talk about areas, land, habitats.
It's much easier to keep an eye on something, right next door than something that is 5-6 hours away.
That's right. Good point. Okay, talking to Wong Pui May, the coordinator of the MYCAT Alliance, on Piala Harimau and much more right here on Trax Momentum. Okay, stay tuned and keep it locked right here. Back with Pui May in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Trax Momentum, 11:40, 1 a.m. on the clock. You're listening to the interview of the day. This is Kong Yu with you always on the show, and speaking today with Wong Pui May, who is the coordinator of the MYCAT Alliance. We're speaking about the Malayan tiger. We're speaking about the recent efforts and ongoing conservation efforts by a few of the Malaysian NGOs in conserving the Malayan tiger and the associated activities. So if you're just tuning in right now, well, we've got one more segment of the show to go with Pui May. It's good talking to you today. Lots of information to cross-share. And also, like, for me, also learning about all these things is not just fascinating, but hopefully it'll be of some use, especially to our listeners who can also share information and all that. And then we do have on Trax, we do have a countrywide reach. Right,
Yes.
so it's easier to bring Malaysians together for specific causes and issues like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Malayan Tiger Pui May, and the fact is fact and
Yes.
statistics do indicate, unfortunately, that numbers are probably very likely below 500
Yes.
Malayan tigers left in the wild in Peninsular Malaysia, and the key issue is actually, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is the natural habitat, and worse still is actually poaching, isn't it?
Yes. That would be the main threat.
The main threat is actually poaching. Now, and earlier on you were saying that a lot of the tigers generally are very solitary and they need their own space. They're very territorial. And you mentioned, of course, the main three areas that we're talking about that is covered under this activity called Piala Harimau. Tell us a little bit more. Do poachers actually go in like really deep into the jungles? I guess they would need to if they really, really are hunting for tigers.
Well, there are evidence of poachers being deep inside the forest, but in a lot of cases, these are agar wood poachers, gaharu. So aside from our wildlife, we also have very valuable wood in our forest.
Yeah.
And gaharu is a type of it's used and processed into incense.
Yes.
And it's very valuable. So there are a lot of people poaching gaharu, and these are opportunistic poachers.
I see.
If while they are not specific tiger poachers, they are not going to let a tiger walk past easily. Yeah, if they see something, chances are they're not going to let it go away free.
Right.
Yeah.
So agar wood is poaching. Now they've highlighted. So something else there.
Yes, there's something else. We have all this like natural jewels in our forest
Incredible.
that are being stolen from under our noses,
yeah.
and we know so little about it. Yeah, it's something that needs to change.
Yeah. Well, thanks for highlighting that.
Yeah, I guess that's a talk for another day, right?
Yeah, in my mind, I'm like, oh no, agar wood now. Oh, right, okay.
I'll introduce someone else to you to interview.
Yeah, we should talk about the treasures of the forest. I think that would be a great topic to follow through on this slot. Yeah. Okay, back to Piala Harimau. So you're targeting the three areas,
Yes.
namely the
Belum Temenggong.
That's right. These three areas we're quite familiar with. Belum Temenggong is sort of the newer area that people have heard about, but it's been there for millions of years, they say.
Yes, over millions of
100
years.
over millions of
Older than
years.
the Amazon rainforest, apparently.
Incredible. And of course, the other areas, Taman Negara and Endau Rompin, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Piala Harimau, how does it work? You're trying to get the local communities, obviously, targeting them. To get excited.
About tigers.
It's through football.
Yes, through football. Previously our previous programs have been more traditional outreach type programs, I would say,
Right.
educational programs, road shows and dialogues with them. So there have always been efforts to engage with the local communities in these areas. But we'd like to do something a little different because we know they're all crazy about football. You go there on a normal day and half the people are wearing Harimau Malaya jerseys.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're trying to reach out to them through using something that they enjoy and they're interested in. And also trying to build a sense of pride within each community because we're planning to bring them together. We're planning to have landscape level tournaments for each of the tiger landscapes. And the winners will meet in a sort of tripartite final.
I see.
Possibly in KL.
Right.
Yeah, so, pitting them against each other, it's a great way to build, a sense of pride and sense of ownership of your landscape, and make them feel proud that they are from these areas, and that they have tigers practically in their backyards, which is something that they can boast and us here in Selangor can't.
Right.
Yeah, so it's something special that we hope to build an appreciation of that fact. Yeah.
At this stage, do you know any details on how the Piala is going to work out, what the games are going to be like? Because it's for next year, yeah?
Yes, it's for next year. We're basically going to do something like a landscape level tournament over a weekend at each of the landscapes. Like the one in BT is planned for being held in Greek Town.
Right.
In For Taman Negara, we'll be holding it in Merapo. It's called Merapo Town, but it's more like a village, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
it's got a football field.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Definitely. I think it's not difficult to find a football field in Malaysia. Yeah. And in the southern part, it will be in Rompin in Pahang.
Right.
At a school, probably. Yeah. So probably end of this year, we'll start to publicize it among the local communities and get them to sign up.
Right.
Yeah. And so the plan is to have it maybe around May next year, to have, the grand finals and to crown the ultimate tiger champion.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great way of going about things, I think. Very interesting. Certainly, will take a lot of resources and manpower, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it would. Yeah, but all the partners are involved. So that's a great thing, and it will really help us in, building better relationships and fostering closer cooperation as well among us. So that's a good thing.
Okay, exciting plans in store, yeah? If typically, like I said, the people, the sort of maybe more urban type community, or people who do have their lives sort of caught up in different areas, like, careers and whatnot. So usually they're like, oh, let's go and support the Wild Tiger Run like they did last year. How do we support Piala Harimau?
Well, for something like this, they can't, participate because we're not going to accept a team from KL playing in Rompin, for example.
Maybe you should make a guest team when you get to the finals.
That's a good idea.
You can do a fun sub match or something like that, comprising all these urbanites playing against maybe a tripartite team, like you said.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing they can do is donate towards this event by contacting us at MYCAT. We'll definitely need funds, so we are sourcing for sponsors and all that. It's also a great opportunity for Malaysian corporates to get involved, and because traditionally, I think tiger conservation in Malaysia has been funded a lot by overseas entities, foundations, organizations. So it's really time for Malaysian corporates and the public to, contribute towards this effort.
Right.
After all, it's our national heritage and it's up to us to save it. And also they can like us on Facebook, search for us, MYCAT. And when the time comes, volunteer, we'll bring you to these small towns, and you can be games marshals. You can help us with pulling off the entire event, because we'll definitely need a lot of manpower help. Yeah,
I can imagine when these events are ongoing, that's probably when you need obviously the most male and female power.
Yes.
to just run the events. Running
definitely.
Events, definitely need a lot of people and whatnot to help out. So great stuff. And let's wrap up the interview. Share with us again something that you mentioned even to our producer. Lisham was here talking about issues up north, where he is, also from the island where he kind of comes from, on the hotline. Yeah. The hotline that you have now, this hotline is for...
It's for members of the public to report any illegal activities involving wildlife or their habitats.
In general, yeah?
Yes, it's pretty general. It's a 24-hour hotline. Shall I give you the number?
Yes.
Okay, it's 019-356-4194. I'll repeat, 019-356-4194. We also have a Facebook page called Wildlife Crime Hotline. So the idea behind a hotline is just to provide an avenue for everyone to report anything suspicious. Like, it can be anything from a restaurant selling exotic wildlife, a pet shop selling animals that you think shouldn't be there, to finding snares in the forest, illegal logging. Yeah, so it's pretty wide ranging, and you can call us if you're not sure, you're not sure whether you should call or not. Just drop us an SMS or an email, and we will educate you along the way, and tell you what sort of things should be reported and what shouldn't be. And all of the information that we receive will be passed on to the relevant authorities, which have included Wildlife Department, Forestry Department, even fisheries where relevant. Yeah, so we also work closely with the authorities, as they are the ones who can take enforcement efforts. So a big role that the public and NGOs can do is really to support good work that is already being done, by providing more information.
Okay, and don't be shy to call,
Oh, definitely.
Because maybe, people are like, oh, I don't know whether, this, talk about exotic animals in restaurants. It's like, oh, but I don't know whether this is really that illegal. They don't want to, they're afraid, but the person or the people who will be answering will tell you, give you more
Yes.
information.
And photos would help too. Everyone has a camera phone these days.
Exactly.
So snap a photo or take a selfie with it in the background.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Kong Yu.
You're welcome. And I've been speaking to Wong Pui May, who is the coordinator of the Malaysian Conservation Alliance for Tigers, all about the state of the Malayan Tiger, as well as the Piala Harimau upcoming in 2015. But the MYCAT Alliance, of course, would much welcome not just donations per se, but also possible alliances working together and lots of volunteers working towards the project. Let's good luck to you
Thanks
and
a lot.
MYCAT on this very exciting project, and we shall see and we shall follow up with the developments as and when they come up. Yeah.
Okay.